Growing a business is kind of tricky right now. Supply chains are squeezed, tariffs and trade policies are dynamic, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. You need clarity to come out on top. Without it, you risk falling behind. If only you could hop in the DeLorean and see the future, right? Thankfully, there's NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite has real-time forecasting to help you move ahead with confidence. This is your AI-powered business management suite and the #1 cloud ERP. Trusted by over 42,000 businesses, NetSuite brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. And with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. You spent months building towards launch day, but when the clock hits 0, your site crashes. Bots swarm, and loyal fans rage on Reddit. That's not good. Fanfare was built to stop that. Fanfare is the drop platform made for high-pressure moments, stampede-proof infrastructure, verified waitlists, and bot filters that actually work. Instead of refunds and rage, you get retention and revenue. And that sounds great to me. Your next launch shouldn't be a gamble. Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook and learn how to bulletproof your drop at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, that's fanfare.io/playbook. Congrats, your business is doing great. All your hard work is paying off, but you need help like now, and you have to hire fast. How can you hire amazing candidates quickly? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed sponsored jobs help you stand out and hire fast. And with sponsored jobs, your posts jump to the top of the page for your relevant candidates so you can reach people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. One of the things I love most about Indeed is that it has one of the largest databases of job seekers, giving employers access to a wide range of candidates. And with job alerts, I get notified when new candidates apply. And with Indeed sponsored jobs, there's no monthly subscriptions, no long-term contracts, and you only pay for results. So how fast? Well, in the minute that I've been talking to you, 23 hires were made on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/smartpassive. Just go to Indeed.com/smartpassive right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/smartpassive. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed, is all you need.
This is the Smart Passive Income Podcast with Pat Flynn, session number 5. DJ, where you at?
Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, where it's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host. He loves California Golden Bears football, Pat Flynn.
While DIY website tools are everywhere, most fall short on design and performance. Hit publish. Framer ships your site worldwide in seconds. No code, no compromises. Framer is a powerful, user-friendly platform that delivers developer-level results without writing a single line of code. Make your designs move and convert with Framer. Framer brings your site to life with powerful animations, dynamic content handling, and a design-first approach that helps your site stand out. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. Browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something of your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, scroll and looping animations, and much more in seconds. And it's free to start. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting of generating starter layouts and can even translate your entire site to any language. On the back end, you'll get responsive breakpoints, built-in hosting, a flexible CMS, and privacy-friendly analytics. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at Framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of pro on the house. That's Framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. Do you know the secret to businesses that are scaling faster than ever? They're using Upwork to tap into a diverse pool of skilled freelancers across various industries. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts who are ready to help you take your business to the next level. I've personally used Upwork myself and can vouch for it. Posting a job on Upwork is easy. With no cost to join, you can register, browse freelancer profiles, get help drafting a job post, or even book a consultation. From there, you connect with freelancers that get you and can easily hire them to take your business to the next level. Upwork makes the entire process easier, simpler, and more affordable with industry-low fees. Post a job today and hire tomorrow with Upwork. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That is Upwork.com to post your job for free and connect with top talent ready to help you grow your business. That's Upwork.com. Again, Upwork.com.
Hey everybody, what's up? Go Bears, and welcome to the 5th session of the Smart Passive Income Podcast. I got a quick announcement before I get into the featured content today, a featured interview actually with someone who is very inspirational, has a very inspirational story, makes a lot of money, and reveals exactly how he does that, doing something he loves. So we'll get into that in a second. But before that, I just have a quick announcement, and that is we're only 4 sessions in to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, but we're already approaching 2,000 subscribers on iTunes. Thank you so much for your support. I can't believe we've already reached that point this early in the in the series of podcasts that I'm doing. So thank you so much for those of you who are longtime followers of the Smart Passive Income blog, to those of you who have just found me through iTunes, which I know a lot of you have. Some of you emailed me, which is really cool. Feel free to check out the blog and just email me and just say hi, because I'd love to know if you just found me through the podcast. But to all of you, thank you so much. You're really keeping me motivated to keep doing this, and I don't plan on stopping. So thank you for that. So today I'm actually really, really excited to bring you a guest who I actually hold responsible for bringing you the audio that you're listening to at this very moment. Our guest is none other than Cliff Ravenscraft of PodcastAnswerMa.com and GSPN.TV. Cliff, thank you for coming on the show. Welcome.
Hey, thank you very much, Pat, for having me on. I love your new podcast.
I appreciate it. Well, for you listeners out there, Cliff and I first met a few months ago when I was actually getting interested in podcasting. And, when I was asking people, well, who should I go to? Where should I get equipment? Cliff's name was being thrown around, and I checked him out at podcastanswerman.com. And we ended up doing a really, really awesome consultation together, really opened my eyes to exactly what was possible with podcasting. And he hooked me up with exactly what I needed to get started. And Cliff, just thank you so much for all you've done for me in the podcast so far. The quality is top notch, and that's not coming from me. That's coming from the mouths of some of my listeners and some emails that I've been getting. They just really love how good the podcast sounds, and I attribute that to you and your help. So thank you again for that.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to hear that it's going that well for you, I can't tell you how much of a blessing it is to wake up in the morning and absolutely get up and do what you love for a living. And I love it when a client comes along and says, "Hey, I want to do a podcast, but I want it to sound great too." And when I hear that, I love working with those sorts of people. So I'm very excited about the content that you're producing. It's something that I think is going to be very worthwhile to a lot of people.
Well, thank you. The only thing I wish I did was start earlier, but I was lost in the beginning. But you definitely got me on the right track. So thank you for that. As I got to know Cliff a little bit better and going around his website and seeing exactly what he did, I discovered a lot of really cool things about him and what he does. He is just a prime example of someone who makes money by doing something they are totally passionate about, something they really love to do. Taking a passion and just going all out with it. And he's making good money online from doing something he loves. And his passion is of course, podcasting. Well, Cliff, why podcasting? Where did this all start, and why do you love it so much?
All right, so here's the deal. I'm a technology geek. I took my first computer apart, a Commodore VIC-20, when I was 8 years old, and I have been into technology and computers and gadgets since then. And when I learned about podcasting in mid-2005 from Leo Laporte, I fell in love with the idea that I could actually find content that was geared around things that I'm passionate about. Being in Northern Kentucky, going to high school, everybody's into sports. I'm not into that. Everybody's talking about this. They're talking about that. I'm not into any of that. But nobody wanted to talk technology and geek stuff. And so, I was one of those guys, whenever you go to a little social gathering at a conference, I was an insurance agent, and run into people. It's like nobody ever wanted to talk about anything that I was talking about, and I didn't know anything about the things they were talking about. So it was real frustrating. And when I was introduced to the world of podcasting, it's like there was a podcast about everything. And so I started to consume podcasts about topics that I was passionate about. And one of those things was the TV show Lost. The TV show Lost was something that I was already blogging about this. I had screen captures of things that I found that were hidden inside of this show as Easter eggs. And I saw my blog just explode personally when I started blogging about that stuff. And I was already listening to a couple other Lost podcasts out there. And they said, hey, you really should start your own Lost podcast. And I'm like, yeah, who's going to listen to me? Although the idea and the thought intrigued me. So I asked my wife if she would join me. And we recorded our first show in December of 2005. And, well, within a couple short weeks, we had tens of thousands of subscribers.
That's awesome. And I love Lost. I'm so sad that it's over. But you actually did have an awesome win, right, at the during the season, actually the finale. You had actually a Lost party, is that correct? And that all came from your podcast.
Absolutely. Actually, during the years, we've always thrown Lost series premiere and finale parties in our home and in local businesses that would sponsor locations. And we've had people travel from 7 countries and 32 different states just to come to Northern Kentucky and hang out with my wife and I to watch the TV show Lost.
That's so cool. And these people just found you through iTunes and through your blog and through podcasting, right?
Absolutely. A majority of those people were looking to either buy the soundtrack in iTunes, or they were looking to maybe download a single episode for $1.99 of the TV show in iTunes. And as soon as they did a search for those things in iTunes, right below the results for music soundtracks and TV episodes were these things called podcasts, and they were free. And yeah, thousands and thousands and thousands of the people. My daughter is 10 years old, and when she was 8, she launched the Hannah Montana fan podcast. 32,000 subscribers for an 8-year-old.
That is amazing. That's so cool. Wow. So you're doing podcasting and all this full time, and this is exactly how you support your family and put food on the table, right?
Absolutely. The first 2.5 years, it was just a hobby. It started out as a hobby. I never dreamed in a million years that I could do this full time. I was working as an insurance agent in my family's family-run insurance agency. It's been in the business in the family since 1969. I was doing that for 11 years before I left. And I was making $87,000 a year, sitting 25% of my income going into a pension account. I mean, I had the life. And in about 5 years before I left, my dad would have retired if I would have stayed around. And it would have been a guaranteed $250,000 a year minimum, and nothing but upwards and onward from there. Mm-hmm. But I hated my job. I despised it. I didn't want to even wake up in the morning.
Oh. Well, I that kind of sounds similar to my story, except I loved my job, but then I just got laid off. But I mean, you made the choice to switch over to podcasting because of your lifestyle that you were living in. That it just wasn't for you. So that's really, really, awesome of you to make that leap, and we'll get into that in a second. But so you make a living with podcasting now. What is it that you're involved in? Like, what do you do when it comes to this world of podcasting? Like, what do you have?
Well, basically, we have a couple different things. We have GSPN, and then I have a couple other, brands that are under that umbrella. So I started a business called Ravenscraft Enterprises LLC, which basically has the GSPN. It's the Generally Speaking Production Network. It is a network of all of our shows. Since 2005, I've personally launched 24 of my own podcasts. And out of those 24 different podcasts that we've launched, I've produced more than 2,200 individual episodes. Those are all shows that I'm in. And that's I've added it up once before. It's just a little bit over 2,000 hours of content that's available online.
Wow. Okay, so you're really going all out with this, and you love to do this. So it doesn't even really feel like work to you, does it?
It doesn't feel like work at all. I'm not kidding when I say sometimes I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and just can't wait to get started on my day, and sometimes it's just not healthy, and I had to launch a new brand called Pursuing a Balanced Life, which is another podcast that I have. And it's basically, it was really difficult because I'd get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I'd want to work until 3 or 4 in the morning. And it got crazy because I love what I do. I mean, it's not work, it's play. I play all day long. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not true. You're going to ask me some other things down the road that I know about. So it wasn't all fun and games. But now I'm at a place where it is so awesome.
So you're really, like, as Gary Vaynerchuk would say, you're really cashing in on your passion, and like, you're living proof that, you know, what he says in his book is can be done. Because, you know, I would never have thought that anyone would be able to make a living off of podcasting. Just like how I never thought that I'd be able to make a living selling a study guide for this little tiny exam in the architecture industry.
It is definitely possible, guys. If you haven't done so, go get Crush It from Gary Vaynerchuk. Read it and believe it. It is absolutely true. In fact, out of that entire book, I actually decided at the time I was wanting to do a companion thing. I wanted to call it Cliff's Notes on Crush It. Mm-hmm. And I was just going to go chapter by chapter and just give my thoughts on everything he said, why I believe, with the exception of one thing he said that I totally disagree with. And there's one spot in his book where he talks about, somebody says, hey, so Gary, I need to figure out what camera should I get. And he says, who cares about that crap? Your video quality doesn't matter. And I hate to argue with him. I believe quality does matter.
Yeah, we've had this conversation before when I was starting out.
Yeah. That one's a big one for me. I believe content is king. There's no question. You got to have good content. But man, I believe quality is the queen, and we all know, especially if you're married, sometimes the queen will trump the king.
No, it's very true. I mean, some people, you know, they listen to podcasts or they read blogs, and if the content isn't presented in a, you know, easily digestible fashion, they just won't even read it at all or listen, right?
That is absolutely correct. In fact, if you have just a second, and I know this will come through for you, what I'm going to do, I'm going to play just a little audio clip for you. Listen to this.
All right.
I think I had listened to them early on when they didn't have their sound quality, and I had dismissed them because I'm really picky about my sound.
I love to hear that.
I won't listen
Did you hear that, folks?
I won't listen to a podcast that has bad audio, even if it's very interesting.
There you go. That's Mignon Fogarty, also known as Grammar Girl, one of arguably one of the more popular podcasters in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Quality matters. I mean, like you said, content is important, but the way it's presented is just as important. That I feel the exact same way, especially coming from a design background.
Very cool. I'm glad you agree. And your show's quality is amazing, and I have no doubt, because of the content matched with your quality, and the fact that you have this thing called passion for what you're talking about. I think you have a recipe that is literally impossible to fail with.
Oh, I guess only time will tell, but I'm going to keep going at it because I just enjoy doing it. And even if it doesn't go to, you know, extreme heights, it doesn't matter because I'm really enjoying what I'm doing. And when you were talking about Gary Vaynerchuk, you were talking about belief in what you're doing and in your passion. And a lot of people don't have that belief. You know, they don't really think they can, you know, do what they love for a living. They just don't think it's possible. And I remember listening to a recent episode of PodcastAnswerMa where you talked about that leap of faith you took from working your 9 to 5 job, your $87,000 a year job, over to going to podcasting full time. Like, can you tell us that story and how you made that transition and how it all worked out for you?
Absolutely. Do you mind if I plug 2 personal podcasts real quick in this?
Of course not.
All right. The very first one, because there's 2 hours worth of content that if you want to hear the full story, here's where you go. The first one, go to gspn.tv/passion. That'll take you to episode 425 of Pursuing a Balanced Life, which is called Pursue Your Passion and the Money Will Follow. And then immediately after that, go to gspn.tv/passion and the number 2. And that's going to forward you to a link that is Family from the Heart. And I don't remember what episode number. But anyway, it's called Difficult Decisions. And it's where my wife and I sit down and talk about what the first year was like. All right.
Yeah, I would want to definitely listen to that.
So check those two podcast episodes out. But let me just give you the very, very short Cliff's Notes version of this one. The first year, very scary. Lots of anxiety, leaving $87,000 a year behind with no business model, which I don't recommend, by the way, and no business experience. I've always worked for other people my entire life, so running a business, had no clue what to do, and really no idea of how I was going to earn any income. I just knew I was going to do it. I had the passion, but it was very scary. There were nights, literally, I didn't sleep because I was afraid that if I fell asleep, I might die. I mean, that's how high the anxiety was the first year I decided to step out and do this on my own, especially the first 3 or 4 months. It was really bad. And by the way, I quit my job after I gave a 90-day notice, and from that point forward, I had nothing else other than the option to. It was kind of like they say, hey, did you hear about the commander who took his men to battle to this island, and then he demanded that they burn the ships because there's only 2 things: it's either you die or succeed. Mm-hmm. I went in with that mentality, and so a lot of sleepless nights. It was very scary, very difficult. I'll tell you, I was debt free minus my mortgage, thanks to some insights from Dave Ramsey. So we had completely paid down our debt. So we were debt-free minus my mortgage. I told you I had a very successful financial career in insurance, which had a pretty sizable pension. I don't believe in debt, so I didn't want to borrow any money. I did borrow $14,000 out of my pension account that first year just to make ends meet. It was tough.
Wow.
However, the second year wasn't as scary. The first half of it, it was a little scary. It was moderate, but the second half of the second year, and I'll tell you, I'm in the third year now. And well, let's just put it this way: this year, I'm making more money than I've ever made in my life, and it is out of this world. I work less than what I. The thing is, though, is I put countless hours into those first 2 years. Countless hours. I'm talking, 6 days a week, 12 to 14-hour days, kind of countless hours.
Wow. Yeah, that's exactly what it takes to get to this point. I mean, the same thing for me, and that's why the tagline of the show is putting the hard work in now so you can reap the benefits later. That's what it's all about. And it's hard because, during those first years or those first few months when you're on your own and you don't have income coming in, you're putting work in, but nothing's coming to you. No money's coming your way for those first few moments, and it can be really scary. I know exactly how you felt,
especially when you get into that mindset of scarcity and you start. I mean, people can smell that, and they don't want anything to do with it. And I'll tell you, it's a scary place. But oh man,
do you think that it was because of that scarcity, because your back was up against the wall, that you eventually broke through and became successul?
I think so. I know what your next question is if you want to ask it, because it leads right into that.
Sure. And that question is, Cliff, if you knowing what you know now, if you could go back into time and do it all over again, would you take the same route?
I get this question asked of me a lot. And I'll be honest with you, I really have to say, I don't want anything. I would not want to change anything. Now, would I change things? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, man, I'd be rich today. Oh, my gosh. If I knew what I knew then. But the thing is, I wouldn't know what I know today if I didn't go through all that crud in the beginning. I made so many mistakes. I had so many different mindsets that were completely wrong I needed a major transformation. I needed what do you call that? I need major paradigm shifts in the way that I thought about so many aspects of life and business and happiness and what success is. And I failed in so many different ways, but I needed all of that to make me who I am today. And so I would never want to rob myself of those experiences. As painful as many of them were, I gained so much weight. I've lost since I started pursuingabalancedlife.com, I've lost 60 pounds, and that's in the last year and a half.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. But I'll tell you what, even what I did to my body, I learned so much about who I am. And to answer your original question, yes, it was all of that stuff that really forced me to succeed. I remember it was like 3 weeks before I was ready to leave the family agency, which, by the way, is run by my dad. Okay, he owns my dad. My dad owns the agency, and so I went to my dad and said, "Man, Dad, I'm looking at this. I'm getting a little nervous here. What do you think about me sticking this out? I'd like to work here for you for the next 6 months, and I'll work here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I'll build my business on Tuesday and Thursday and on the weekend and during the evenings." And he says to me, no. He says, "Listen, you either got to quit that podcasting stuff or you need to go for it because you can't serve two masters." And I'll tell you what, I literally thought that was the most evil, mean thing I'd ever heard in my life. But I am so glad he told me that. I am so glad. And I will tell you, it was tough, but he was so right. I think if I would have had, if for me personally, if I wouldn't have had to make it or break, to make it or break it, I don't think it would have driven me to the success that I'm at today.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way about my layoff. When it first happened, I was devastated. I didn't know where my life was going, didn't know what to do. But looking back, it was probably the best thing that's ever happened to me because it put me in that kind of mindset that I had to succeed, that I had to actually build a business online and make it work for my family and for my life. It's like
young married couples who say, we can't have kids because we can't afford it. We can't do it. Well, you get pregnant, and all of a sudden, guess what? It works.
Yeah, and oftentimes, they can afford having kids and they love it and they wouldn't have taken it back. That's true. The mistakes are important, and a lot of people are afraid to fail. They're afraid to make those mistakes. They want to be perfect, but you can't think like that because it's those mistakes that kind of educate you to perform better next time. It's like I like to use this analogy. It's like in the dating world, you date around and you explore the different characteristics of different people that you've been dating, and you find out exactly what you like and what you don't like and what mistakes you've made, so that when you eventually find that right person, you can treat them like you should, and life is beautiful.
Absolutely. The education from all of that stuff is invaluable.
Yeah. So, lesson: don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just go out and do something, and if it doesn't work, at least learn from your mistakes. Because if you don't learn from your mistakes, then you're really, really making a mistake. Awesome. That's really great stuff. Now let's switch modes a bit and get into more about how you're actually generating an income from podcasting. Can you share with us, the different methods that you earn an income from podcasting?
Sure. Well, I remember starting out with donations. It actually happened within the first 4 or 5 episodes. Our audio quality was so crappy that one lady says, "I really love your content, but man, it's hard to listen to. Can I send you a couple $100 and you go out and get some nice, a mixer and a couple microphones?"
Oh, that's awesome.
So I'm like, yeah, you could do that. That'd be great. So we started out with some donations, and we had some good success with some donations, but I certainly don't recommend that route at all to anybody for any reason whatsoever, unless you're seriously just doing this as a hobby. And if you're doing it as a hobby, then that's really, I don't think that's your target audience, Pat. So we're not going to concern ourselves with that. But I really suggest that you not go the donation route. The next one that I did is I tried out some CPM advertising. This is cost per thousand. So you get, let's say, somewhere between $20, $40 for every 1,000 downloads that you get of your podcast. Mm-hmm. This is a total ripoff, and it is so old media, and it is. I won't withhold my opinion here. It stinks, and I just think you're really getting the raw end of the deal when you go to that thing. Unless you're like Leo Laporte and you got 750,000 people downloading your show. And you're charging $80 per 1,000, then I think you're good. I think Leo Laporte, by the way, podcasting full time. Of course, he still does the radio show, but This Week in Tech, $3 million in revenue. I mean, come on, seriously. So,
yeah, I love Leo Laporte. My dad listens to him all the time. That's how I was introduced, and that guy just knows his stuff. That's for sure.
Yeah, I love Leo Laporte myself. All right, so here's I don't suggest CPM advertising or donations, but this is where I found some really good success. One is sponsorships. So every now and then, like if you go to virtualassistantpodcast.com, I felt, by the way, I always podcast about things that I'm totally seriously passionate about. And I became extremely passionate about having a virtual assistant and how it can help your business. So after I hired my virtual assistant, I was talking about it and pursuing a balanced life. And I'm like, you know what? I could do a podcast just about this topic. And I've got enough material, and I'm going to be using my experience. I have access to people I could interview. So I went to the firm that I used to hire my virtual assistant and said, by the way, I'm only paying, I was paying $380 a month for my virtual assistant. And I will just say that it's more than double that, what they pay me for the sponsorship of my podcast to talk about virtual assistants for 30 minutes a week. So it's a good deal. And by the way, I was able to work out that sponsorship with 0 subscribers, and I was able to do it in such a way that they signed up for a minimum of 3-month commitment right up front, and they have renewed.
How did you manage getting that done?
I basically, what I did is I went to PodcastAnswerMan.com, which is my primary podcast for my business, and I told them, I said, hey, you guys like Podcast Answer Man, where I answer all your questions about podcasting? If so, if you have any interest in what this thing is about having a virtual assistant, I'm going to do the same exact format, only it's going to be, Virtual Assistant Answer Man, but it's just going to be called the Virtual Assistant Podcast. If you're interested, do me a favor and call on the voicemail feedback hotline as if you're leaving a question for that show. I had, 20, 30 different voicemails that came in. I got on the phone with the CEO of Contemporary VA, and I played her the questions. I said, these are the things people want to know, and they are desperately waiting for me to answer them. And I have 2 options. One, I can make this premium content where people have to pay me to get it, or you can be responsible for giving it for free to everybody in the world.
That's awesome.
So she signed up. It only took me about 20 minutes to lock, to seal and deal that one.
So that would have never happened unless you had asked. Just asked.
Just ask. The other thing is I have a sponsorship with Mardel.com. Anyway, if anybody goes to mardel.com/GSPN, totally awesome. Check it out. It's my branding on their corporate website. I'm not kidding you. So mardel.com/GSPN. They have been a sponsor of familyfromtheheart.com for 2.5 years, and there is no doubt in my mind that this is an ongoing sponsorship. Also got that sponsorship with 0 subscribers at the time. I launched the show for them, and not only that, but they actually sought me out. The person who approached me is one of my community members who listens to my podcast. And they wanted to sponsor the Lost podcast, and I said it's just not the right fit, but I have an idea for a new podcast if you want to talk about it. And that's where we worked it out. So sponsorships, either one of those on their own would pay my mortgage every month, and my mortgage is the only debt that I have. So my mortgage is covered twice just by doing 2 podcasts a week.
That's awesome.
Now,
that's amazing.
I have premium membership for the other podcasts. I produce about 7 to 10 episodes a week, sometimes as many as 15 episodes in a single week. We do this on a weekly basis. Most all of our shows are weekly. And what we do is we give at least a minimum of 1 episode per month for free on the free feed. And if you want every episode of every podcast on a weekly basis, it's only $10 a month. And that's a plus membership, and $10 a month gets you access to all of our shows every week. And several of our shows, every episode's available for free, like podcastanswerman.com. That's my business marketing about what I have to offer and me answering people's questions for free.
Right.
So there are some shows I give away for free, but premium membership, by the way, I'm just 2 people away from 400 people who pay me $10 a month.
Nice, that's awesome.
All right. So I do equipment sales. I have podcastanswerman.com, and I do equipment sales. Now, this is not affiliate. It is not affiliate at all. I am an official reseller for a wholesale provider of professional audio equipment to all the radio stations and TV stations in the U.S.
Okay, so you buy equipment kind of maybe at like a discount price because it's wholesale, and then you sell it for more.
It's even better than that. I talk with my clients, get a list of all the things they want to buy.
Okay.
I then charge them my rate for all that equipment. I then put the order into my supplier, who then ships it out blind, which means basically they ship it directly from their warehouse to my client without any of their advertisements or shipping and anything on it. It's all as if it's coming from me.
So it's kind of like drop shipping.
They drop ship it, and so they drop ship it, and basically they charge me. You're right, the wholesale cost on it because I order so much. In the last 2.5 years, I don't have it. Well, you know what? It'll only take me 1 second to load it. I will tell you how much I've sold in equipment, which is out of this world. Equipment orders, one tab, $131,000 in equipment.
Jeez. That's awesome.
So that's how much in equipment sales that I've done. And again, not affiliate marketing. Now, I do also do some affiliate marketing. One day, I was watching geekbrief.tv. Callie Lewis talked about the Kodak ZI8 camera, which, by the way, you can find at podcastanswerman.com/Kodak ZI8. Anyway.
That's a small camera that has a little USB port built into it, right?
Yeah, and it's a HD Handycam that actually has built-in audio input. So you can actually bring audio from your mixer and put it straight into the video instead of having that across the room sound. Mm-hmm. Totally awesome. So I saw this on geekbrief.tv. I went to Best Buy, immediately bought it. Within 30 minutes of actually seeing it on geekbrief.tv, I went and bought it. Came home. Within an hour of seeing it on geekbrief.tv, I had recorded my own video review of it, put it on YouTube, created a blog post at podcastanswerman.com/ZI8, and put a link to my affiliate with Amazon, and I made like $300 that first day that I put that blog post online.
That's really good because I know I do some affiliate stuff with Amazon too, and they don't pay very much, maybe like 6 to 8%, if that. So getting $300 from doing something like that, within an hour, is just freaking amazing.
It was within a couple hours, but it only took me about an hour of my time to accomplish it all. And but within the first couple days, I made a couple $100. Of course, sizable audience, and people were retweeting this thing like crazy on Twitter and Facebook, and it was just it got pretty good. Now, if you do a search on Google for Kodak ZI8 review, I might even pull up pretty high up in the results, and people are still buying it today as a result of that. It's amazing, and that was months ago. So I do one-on-one consulting, and I get paid lots of money to do consulting. I think you've hired me, so and I won't go into what my hourly rate is, but if anybody wants to know, they can contact me, and I'll tell them.
It's worth it.
Thank you. And then, of course, I also do webinars, teleseminars, and various digital products. And by the way, I had just become convinced of mailing lists back in October of this past year. I'm not kidding. I told you I made a lot of mistakes. I didn't know about the power of email marketing. And I still do it all wrong compared to what everybody says I should do. But I don't send out like newsletters. I just say, hey, if you want to sign up for my mailing list, please understand the purpose of my mailing list is to tell you when I have something to sell you. and so basically, I only get people sign up for that list who are interested in finding out what I have to sell them.
Well, there's your highly targeted audience right there for sure.
Exactly. So from October through January of this past and through January of this year, 2010, I had only had just over 100 people on my mailing list. And I announced a 7-week Podcast Answer Man boot camp webinar where I would do 7 different 2-hour sessions training people how to do the things that people hire me the most to teach them how to do. Adobe Audition for podcasters, WordPress for podcasters, all of this different stuff. And $100 a person for 2 hours. And I limited the class size. I made $10,000 in 1 week this month. Or in January of this year, $10,000 with one email sent to that group of just over 100 people on my mailing list.
Wow.
So, and then of course I do digital video training products. So I took that 2-hour video webinar where people were on the telephone. I recorded everything in studio, high quality audio on my end. I used ScreenFlow to capture the video, the full screen video. But then I spent 8 hours using ScreenFlow doing post-production, 8 hours of zooming in and panning and putting text overlays and explaining things. 8 hours into building these into digital audio products, which if you go to podcastanswerman.com/products, you see you can now purchase all of those for $100 a piece.
That's That's awesome. That's kind of what I'm interested in. I've written a blog post about that kind of method before, where you kind of teach a class or a webinar or a teleseminar or something, and then you can package it into something digital that you can sell, for a very long time after the fact. And
I have a virtual assistant who is transcribing word for word everything that was spoken in that digital training product, and she's creating an ebook for me.
There you go. That's even more passive income right there. Now, a lot of the methods you mentioned, maybe not the sponsorships, but equipment sales and some of the affiliate stuff you do, and obviously the consulting, that takes up a lot of time. So, what I want to know is what would you say, from what you earn, the methods that you earn income, what would you say takes up the least amount of your time?
The least amount of my time overall, but the most amount of my time actually creating them is digital training products. Because it takes I spend a lot of time creating them, thinking them out in advance, marketing them to for the live show and getting people to come and participate, and then recording them and teaching them, and then post production. I spend no less than 8 hours of post production on those things. But by golly, I will tell you this: I think I have 8 digital training products on my site. I will say that anybody who has purchased one of them, 8 out of 10 of them have purchased 3 or more.
That's awesome.
So you buy one, people come back for more, and it's because, again, it's not just the content, but by golly, I go way overboard on quality.
And that's what you have to do. I mean, if you want to become successful and build a brand for yourself and have products that sell other products for you, you have to go overboard. And that's something I really believe in. Just giving away content, whether it's free, whether it's paid, just over delivering and leaving an impression on people, on your customers, who then, tell their friends, or who are happy to pull out their wallets and pay for something again, because they know it's going to be top-notch quality. Now, okay, that's good. I'm glad we talked about those digital training products, because I think that is probably, the most passive form of income that you have, even though you put in all this time and effort to put those things together. Like I said, it's putting the work in now so you can reap the benefits later. So, we kind of had this conversation, I think it was like a week ago, where you talked about how you set up your iPhone and using Boxcar to do something cool, and your kids really enjoy that. Can you just walk us through really quick how that works? Because it's kind of cool.
It's great. I'm using eJunkie for my e-commerce, and so somebody buys a digital product. It's all completely automated. I don't have to do a single thing. You go to my site, you click, you add it to the cart, you process your payment through PayPal, and you get immediate delivery. Then an email is sent to me saying, "Hey, you've just made a sale." Well, I have this iPhone application called Boxcar, and it has the ability where you can send emails to a specific email address, and it will send a push notification to your phone. So I went into Google and I said, hey, anytime an email that with this subject line from eJunkie comes in, I want you to immediately forward it to this Boxcar address. And then Boxcar gets that email, and you can actually, it has various different ring, sounds that it will alert you with, and one of them is a cash register going cha-ching. and so every single time my site sells a new product without me doing anything, I love it. We were on vacation. We went on vacation. I went on a 4-day vacation, and we were driving on our way to vacation, just having a great time as a family, and we were listening to some music that off the iPhone. And all of a sudden the music would dim down for a second, and you'd hear cha-ching.
Nice. While on vacation, you're earning an income. That's awesome.
It is the coolest thing in the world. And the kids were like, "Hey, Dad, can we go see this movie? Can we see?" I said, "I'll tell you what, kids. If we make 3 product sales, before tomorrow night, we'll just go out and we'll see a movie. We'll go see this movie." And it was a movie they wanted to see again. And so they were just waiting for the phone. And every time the phone would go cha-ching, they were like, yay! It was totally awesome.
That's so cool. And, oh God, it's literally one of the best feelings in the world. I mean, to earn an income without having to put real time work into it, because you've already done the work. And that happens to me, when I was on my honeymoon, actually, in February of 2009, or actually in March of 2009. I was married on February 21st of 2009. We went on a honeymoon to Hawaii, and that was my most profitable month ever. And I had made more in that 1 week than I had made in previous months of doing business online. And I was on vacation too. So if you set things up correctly and you understand how to implement modes of automation, and whether it's through software or even using real people like VAs, you can build a business for yourself that works on autopilot, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. So thank you for sharing all of those techniques that you use to make money and your stories and stuff. I'm sure the listeners just love hearing about that. It's really inspiring, and hopefully they'll get people off their butts to actually put some hard work in now, even though they might not see money from it right away, but to just believe in themselves and crush it with their passion, and eventually get to that point where they can be driving and hear their iPhone music dim and hear that cha-ching.
Absolutely, man.
So we're coming up to the end here. Just one more thing I want to ask you. A couple things. First, knowing what you know about internet business and how cash flows online now. You're obviously really successful. What are 3 tips that you'd like to share with anyone starting out with trying to make money doing what they love?
All right. Here's number 1. Give up on the myth of overnight success. It ain't going to happen. People aren't going to recognize you right away as a thought leader. You're not going to immediately see sales. Honestly, be prepared to put a minimum of 6 to 8, even 10 months of hard work building yourself a brand and all of this other stuff before you really start to see any sort of significant return at all. And I'll be honest with you, I just share with people, listen, you think Cliff's successful. I would agree. I feel like I'm successful as well. But, it really wasn't until the second part of the second year of me doing this full time that I really started to see that amount of success. And by the way, I did it for 2.5 years as a hobby before I went and did this full time. So certainly I am not an overnight success. But today I love getting up at 4 in the morning, and I can't wait to start my day. And I think creatively all day long about all the different things I can do for people and help them that make me money. And I now am able to spend a lot of time with my wife and with my kids. And I have more fun than I've ever had. I'm happier than I've ever been. But don't think it's going to happen overnight. And I think you should read Crush It, because Gary Vaynerchuk was the first person I know that really said, listen, you're going to be bleeding out your eyeballs. If you want to be successful the way that we've built it, you'll be bleeding out your eyeballs. And I was willing to do that. The second one is only do things that you're seriously passionate about. Seriously. You hear, it's like, oh my gosh, his 10-year-old daughter, when she was 8, started the Hannah Montana fan podcast. And because people were searching for Hannah Montana, that was huge. Well, let me tell you something. My daughter was passionate about Hannah Montana. That's what kept an audience of 32,000 subscribers to our podcast. All right. And in fact, when she actually kind of got over Hannah Montana and Miley Cyrus, she completely hates her now. She actually she didn't change the feed at all, but she just rebranded the podcast, and that's The World According to Megan. And she still has about 20 to 30,000 subscribers that still listen to it. So, but now she only talks about things she's passionate about. So again, only do things that you're really passionate about. Don't do things just to earn money. And then the third thing that I will tell you is don't ever attempt to do anything unless there is always a win-win for everyone. So you're going to be able to do a lot of things that will make you money online. But the question is, will what is making you money, that person that's paying you that money, is it a guaranteed win? At least, if they were to take the initiative to do with whatever they want to do with it, is it a likelihood that they could experience a complete win that has value far beyond what they actually paid you for it? And if the answer to that question is no, don't get involved in it.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you on all 3 of those things. It's just making the internet and a better place, and everyone's a winner. And lastly, the last question I'd like to ask you, and I ask this to every guest here on the show, is what's working for you? What's working for you right now? What's one thing that our listeners can take away from this, from you and your advice and your knowledge that you're doing right now, and that they can apply to their online business, blog, podcast, or just life in general? What's one thing that's working for you right now?
One thing that has worked for me from day one is giving away lots of free stuff all the time with zero strings attached. Give it all. I mean, it sounds crazy, but give it all away. I encourage anybody, go to podcastanswerman.com. What is there? I think 169 hours of episodes where every week I answer people's questions for free. I understand a lot of people can't hire me one-on-one. So what do? When they send me questions via email, which I get 40 to 100 plus a day, I send them an email back saying, thank you so much. Unfortunately, I can't do consulting via email. I'm available for one-on-one consulting, but if you can't, if that's not in your budget right now, here's the mechanism I use to answer people's questions for free. Please give me a call on my voicemail feedback hotline. I would love to answer that question for you, as long as I can not only give that answer to you, but I can give it to a couple hundred other people or a couple thousand other people as well.
Right, who might be thinking the exact same thing.
Exactly, and so I have made a lot of valuable friendships and relationships of people who say, wow, this guy knows what he's doing. And in fact, I will tell you, in all the time, in the last 2 years that I've been doing this full time, not necessarily, the first 6 months, I spent a lot of time in that mindset of scarcity. So it was a hard time. I spent way too much time trying to convince people that I was worth my hourly rate. Not anymore. But in the last 2 years, I've never had to actually even have the conversation. In fact, sometimes people email me and say, hey, I've heard that you're the person to talk to. Can you convince me why I should hire you? And I wrote them back and say, listen to Podcast Answer Man. And if you're not convinced after 2 or 3 episodes, then there's nothing I can say to convince you.
Right.
But I have had people who say, I found you on a Google result looking for mix minus information. And you know what? I've listened to about 30 hours of your content, and now I'm ready to hire you.
Yeah, it takes some people a little bit more to convince them. But because you're out there and you put all this free information out there, you can hit people who are, who need 30 hours to listen to you.
Yep, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cliff. I mean, you are truly a genuine person. You know a lot about podcasting and online business, and you're just, again, a prime example of someone who's just cashing in on their passion. If people want to know more about you and where can they find you? Where would you tell them to go?
I'd say, based upon this interview and the content we've been discussing, I think the best place to start out is just to go to podcastanswerman.com.
Very well. That's awesome. And do you have like a Twitter if people wanted just to say hi?
Sure. I would love to have folks follow me on Twitter. It's twitter.com/GSPN. I couldn't get Podcast Answerman because it was Podcast AnswerMa. They wouldn't let the N. And I couldn't get twitter.com/Cliff Ravenscraft because it had to be Cliff Ravenscraft, no T. So generally speaking, Production Network, GSPN. So twitter.com/GSPN.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cliff. This is some valuable information that I know my listeners will just really, really take in and really feel inspired to do some awesome stuff with. Thank you again so much. And we'll talk soon, all right?
Thank you, man. This has been so much fun. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks, Cliff. Hey, everybody, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Cliff Ravenscraft from podcastanswerman.com. As a reminder, you can always visit the blog at smartpassiveincome.com and check out the show notes for each episode that we have. That includes all the links that were talked about in every single episode. I know Cliff went over a lot of stuff today, and all those links are available on the blog. And lastly, before I let you go, please visit ebooksthesmartway.com to get your free ebook, an ebook that I created. I spent over 2 months creating it to help you create your own ebook and how to crush it and make it automated and market it and everything about creating an ebook, which is exactly how I got started online and built my business and my brand. So check that out again, ebooksthesmartway.com. And that's it. Thank you so much for listening in, and I'll see you in the next session. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast at www.smartpassiveincome.com.
Hey there, quick pause here because I have to tell you about a tool that completely transforms the podcasting workflow, Riverside. I get it. I used to juggle multiple platforms just to record one podcast episode. It was exhausting. Zoom for recording, Audacity for editing, and then a bunch of different apps just to create clips and social posts. I've tried other ones as well. They were okay, but they were clunky and super time-consuming. That's where Riverside has massively helped. I can do it all in one place, recording, editing, repurposing, one platform, one streamlined flow. I just log in, record with my guests no matter where they are in the world, and just like that, studio-quality audio and high-resolution video all in one. And get this, even if your Wi-Fi glitches, Riverside records locally on your device so everything sounds and looks crystal clear. But here's my favorite feature, Riverside's AI editing tool. You can remove silences and filler words with just one click, hours saved. With Magic Clips, Riverside also automatically finds the best moments and turns them into ready-to-post videos for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, all without the extra editing. So if you're looking to level up your production quality and simplify your workflow, go to smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside and use code SMART to get 1 month free on the Pro plan. That's smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside, promo code SMART. It's built by creators for creators, and I think you're going to love it. Have you dreamt about being your own boss, but still haven't made the first steps to making that dream a reality? Well, I get that. Starting a business can feel super overwhelming with legal forms, paperwork, finances. It's a lot. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about Taylor Brands. Taylor is a complete business builder designed to make launching your business simple and stress-free. You can register your LLC in just minutes, keeping your personal assets and the business assets separate from day one. From there, you get access to everything you need to get off the ground. Legal documents, licenses and permits, invoicing and bookkeeping tools, and even a 100-day business coaching program, all designed to help you hit the ground running. You'll also get a free, personalized business plan, branding tools, and so much more. And of course, listeners of this show get an exclusive 35% discount to get started. All you have to do is head to taylorbrands.com/SPI. That's TAILORBRANDS.com/SPI. Stop dreaming, start building with Taylor Brands.